Hope my video is visible to you.
Um, yes. Okay. So we are live on YouTube too now. Yes, yes, it is. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Okay, it's 10 o'clock and let's dive into it. Hello, everyone. I'm Sheetal, and this is episode 1 of our podcast series AI in Real World Architecting, Scaling, and Leading Intelligent Systems. We are going to talk about not only buzzwords and slide decks, but we are going to talk about messy, fascinating real life stories behind AI. And probably you have ever wondered like how corporate worlds are building this AI system which actually work, or what happens if pilot fails, what kind of decisions leadership takes if to separate hype from the real stories. Because I do have such questions, and that's the motive of starting this series, to learn from industry expert about this real life stories and how the corporate handle this decision. And today joining us is Anusha Nerella, who is IEEE Women in Engineering Chair for Region 2, Forbes Council member voice, and a person who is exactly in the middle of this shift from AI ideas to AI realities, and bringing AI into the mission critical accomplishment. Okay. Hi, Anusha. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Sheetal. It's nice to be here today.
Sure. Thanks for your time this morning. Why don't you introduce yourself in your own words and tell me about briefly about your AI journey, Anusha?
Yeah, sure. So, like I have shared my little background earlier, but yeah, my background is building in large scale cloud native systems, mostly in financial services. I have been working in the past like 1.5 decade, I should say.
Okay.
So, I started long before AI was like a mainstream, working on
Mm-hmm.
distributed systems. Like and data platforms and automation. So over the last few years, my work has moved very deeply into production AI, like not just
Okay.
models anymore. So,
Mm-hmm.
but how AI systems actually behave once you put them into real environments. So things like large language models, multimodal pipelines, retrieval-based systems. This is like how agent flow style workflows. So what I really focus on right now is like what happens after the demo. How
Okay.
does these systems hold up under real data, real regulations, like everything
Mm-hmm.
kind of a real scenario mimic. You know, that's where
Yeah.
most of
Got it.
the reality comes into picture, like and where we face the
Got it.
hard problems of.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where right now I am living in and dealing with. So this is kind of my current world.
And I will be very honest, when I started following you on LinkedIn, that's what caught my eye, because all your posts talk about the real life scenarios, what problems people face, and how do you handle it, right? So, what caught my eye, it's not only your credentials, but how do you bring the technology, people, and purpose together, right? And that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you. So, that struck me when I looked at your profile. And I want to cash in on it. I want to dive into the questions, because you are saying that scalability, more than scalability, sustainability is more important and everything, right? So let's dive into our questions on that topic. Hope you are okay with that.
Yeah, sure.
So what I have seen is in my corporate journey of probably last 4 or 5 years, everybody is talking about AI. Everybody is doing POCs and so many things going on at the same time. Leadership is talking about we have to get into AI, we have to build this, we have to build that. But what really is stand out, which works in the production, but not just the POC, right? There, because in that tsunami of POCs, what exactly
Mhm.
stand out? How do you identify that?
Yeah, like like it's been some years. We came across the POCs and we went through because there are so many AI-based techniques or frameworks that has been released into in reality, so people can try and compare against how each other are performing. So the POCs phase is done. So now
Mm-hmm.
everyone is trying to see like how everyone's systems are working in reality with production agents and all.
Okay.
Are they meeting? If it is finance, a
Mm-hmm.
regulatory plays major role and governance comes into
Mm-hmm.
picture. So compliance when it is not meeting when the application is not meeting any of these, even though they are meeting the criteria, whatever the functionality that they has been delivering. But if they are
Mm-hmm.
not going through compliance, then that's it. That is not good fit to release. So
Correct.
so it there are a few factors that plays major role. So what I have seen again and again in that POs is they may succeed, but when it comes into production, like we are in the good phase, like we have good vibes to release it, but that's where we deal with actual data, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
we come across the issues that we might have never thought about that we would come across during POCs,
Absolutely.
because POC we don't deal with original data, and the real problems come into picture at the time. So
Correct.
most POCs today we use are very capable models,
Mm-hmm.
so the problem is they are built in isolation. That's why we have been facing these kind of issues, like
Okay.
clean data in the POCs, happy paths,
Correct.
and no latency pressures. So no one is asking uncomfortable questions. So
True.
that's where it is coming into picture and making us feel more comfortable during POCs. But in the production, that's where everything comes bombarded at all at once. Like
Absolutely.
yeah, like production is like kind of there are all sort of uncomfortable scenarios come into picture. Data changes, you know and inputs are incomplete, so the model gives confident answer, but
On the incorrect
that's
data
kind
set.
of yeah, that's kind of wrong, and suddenly someone has to come and explain it. So for me, the real filter is like whether the system can survive being wrong. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how our system should behave, right? Like if we are dealing with some external agents, and
Mm-hmm.
can it fall back? Even though it is wrong, can it
Yeah.
fall back?
True.
So can it escalate?
Mm-hmm.
you know so can it explain what it did for us?
Absolutely. The
So
ownership, I think it still lies with the leadership because you are answerable, especially if you are dealing with financial data, which is the case with a bit you and me, because I have seen this. You are correctly said that we use the model data set, which is we know that this is going to work during POC, but when we go actually live in production, things fall apart and then go here and there. What I was trying to look forward is to how does as a leadership try to filter out those, like what are the conditions they are trying to put into these POCs to make them more successful, because it's been a journey of couple of years now. Have you seen that shift from the leadership, what they are trying to get the things more sanitized when they come to POCs?
yeah, it's like architectural decisions that has taken place are the first things that has been changed since
Mm-hmm.
POCs to coming into reality picture. You know, right now we need to consider a bit ahead, like we need to be a bit ahead in the architectural decisions itself. Not like once
Mm-hmm.
after we are done with everything and ready in the production, then we realize that, oh, I think that
Yeah.
we should have considered.
Mm-hmm.
This factor might cause this. I think we should
Yeah.
have reconsidered this during our decision making phase,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So that step we have built it very carefully, decision making during architectural designs
Early
itself
decision.
plays key role, you know.
Very
So
important.
yeah, that is for sure that has been reconsidered during this phase.
So if I ask you what AI in real world means to you in one sentence, how would you put it?
When I think about it, AI in real world is like it's like a just like how I have mentioned right now, decision making. It has to act like a decision support layer, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's a good
it's
answer.
not about replacing any resources, you
Mm-hmm.
know. That's kind of a vague imagination that one can think about it. So it's about taking messy, unorganized or high volume information and
Mm-hmm.
helping uh, real people, make more consistent decisions, like even with
I
the
like that.
surprises that we did not even expect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a very good answer. Thank you. I like it the way you have put the positive perspective on the AI, because everybody when hear about AI they get scared that it is going to replace the human intelligence in certain ways. right? So
Yeah.
it's very important to embrace it with the positive outlook so that we can use in the best possible way. Thank you.
Mhm.
So let's move from the designing to the actual architecting this intelligence system, right? Because you have emphasis on the sustainability over deployment in your earlier answers. So I take like what focus usually we have to build on these foundational things, right? Whether it has to be data or the model or the LLM, what we use as a foundation for this building this intelligence. What kind of things we somebody has to keep in mind to build these foundational pillars of the new intelligence system.
Yeah. Like when we consider this kind of scenario, right? Like definitely, foundation definitely plays major role, but definitely I have to consider like a lot of teams put their energy into like picking the right model, at
Hmm.
first itself. But that's rarely it's the hard part I feel, you know.
Okay.
So I would feel like when coming to the data and context, you know,
Hmm.
so with LLM especially
Hmm.
when we are trying to consider like in the production,
Hmm.
it raises a lot of questions. So on paper, we definitely feel like, okay, I think this question can be answerable, this question can be doable. But
Hmm.
how fresh is our data? You know, how, what gets retrieved and
Hmm.
what happens when nothing relevant is found?
Hmm.
If you don't
That's
monitor
good.
the retrieval quality, right? So the
Hmm.
system slowly drifts and no one notices when the trust was gone. So that definitely, see, how do we keep customers? We need to have that trust, right? So we
Correct.
need to keep that trust by following all this. So ethics plays major role. We have to be having a explainable AI,
Hmm.
So,
Yes.
and whatever we make, it has to be responsibly built. So these are the key factors when we think about.
I think this word I have been hearing explain AI recently a lot because, as I was saying, like the storm of POCs came in and everybody's tried to do whatever was available for them to do these POCs or presentation demos. But when somebody asks why certain things are working certain way, people get lost. They are not able to answer those questions in the expected way. And I understand in your question answer also you mentioned that it is very important to take care of that responsibility as a owner of that intelligence system. But have you seen any in your experience that because of lack of this foundation something has failed, and what was the reason, the basic reason which could have avoided that situation in those scenarios?
Yeah, sure. Definitely, we have come across. I would not say that nobody would have come across, but everybody should might have come across at some or the other phase. But I personally experienced in my experience, like I worked with large scale applications, and I have come across it in various phases actually. The issue,
Okay.
because when we introduce something, we definitely share our thought process with how this can be delivered, and this is the path we will define, and these
Mm-hmm.
are the key constraints. And if something doesn't play accordingly, then are we losing any data? Are we impacting any data? Are we making system impact with the data that is not even supported? Those kind of scenarios have happened, like system got impacted, and that's not functioning with the latency that we have trying to that we initially tried to plan with. So we had seen latency issues, and
Okay.
yeah. So at the time, like we did not try with the factual data, you know. So that's where we come across these kind of issues, and definitely that has to be built with responsibility because we are not playing around anymore. We need to give
Mm-hmm.
justification why this has happened, because
True.
one is giving us time and money, means we need to prove that value.
Correct.
So yeah, so it's
Absolutely.
not like just playing around and bluffing something and giving some vague explanations doesn't play it anymore, so
So I totally agree with you. Like when we are dealing with this intellectual system, there has to be responsibility on the things you develop. But do you think there are kind of signals when we build something that are we building a strong system, or there are signal switch like, oh, no, this is not going to sustain in future, this is very fragile, this will fall in certain time or due to certain. Do you think because you have been working on this system for so long now, do you, when you look back, do you think there were signals which I might have overlooked, or this could have been the red flag, I should have stopped at that point? Do you think those kind of signal now, based on your experience, can you share with our audience who can keep those red flags in mind while building these solutions?
Yeah, like when we were thinking about the models itself, because everybody comes into picture and says like, okay, I think LLMs will help you to solve this issue. No,
Mm-hmm.
SLMs will help you to solve this issue. And because small language models, nobody knows
Again.
like how SLMs play, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I should recorrect the statement, not like nobody, majority of the people would consider like SLMs has less role in playing a specific task, but
Mm-hmm.
they have their own prominence in doing things unless we explore on how the things work on local. Suppose if
Mm-hmm.
we think about local stacks and we want that to work very efficiently, I have seen personally like SLMs have done a very great and
Better.
tremendous job than LLMs, you know. So because when we are moving, if you think like I can explain one of these things, like coming to
Sure.
orchestration about agents, we
Mm-hmm.
we have been moving away from single calls to models,
Mm-hmm.
so now we are like looping things, like chaining things,
Okay.
so using tools, sometimes we let agents plan the steps ahead, you know
Mm-hmm.
so that's definitely powerful, but it definitely introduces a new kind of issues like failure modes, um,
Mm-hmm.
and the timeout. The tools will time out because they are already in loop. The agents are already in loop,
Correct. Yeah.
and one bad assumption of us can cascade the things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
without having proper guardrails, agent systems can behave like very confident juniors, so they
Okay.
keep going even where they shouldn't, you know.
Yeah. So they will just follow the instruction irrespective without making any decisions on their own, kind of
Yeah,
person. Right?
guardrails has to be
Yeah.
there, we have to keep that in place.
I think again it comes back to the designing a phase where you have to lay down the foundation or the skeleton for these agents to work in the effective way, the way you want them to.
Yeah, if I think you might also come across this kind of thing. So when machine learning was introduced in ML
Mhm.
ops, we also have like what do I say, traditional way of doing it, and
Mhm.
also the way of doing with the large language or small language models.
Mhm.
Because traditional ops, what it is happening is like they can change occasionally. You know,
Mhm.
but considering any of these large
Continue.
language models or SLMs, so we can change
Better.
all the time, like whether the
Mm.
prompts, the data, tools,
True.
we can change it. It's not like occasionally anymore. So
Mhm.
so here, when we consider, right, the observability, if you see this factor, uh,
Mhm.
if you try to understand why a response happened, and if you can't debug it, uh,
Mhm.
you definitely cannot justify yourself.
Got it. Yeah, and I totally agree. These LLM models change every
Mhm.
day, and they are like they are coming up with the higher versions and better
Mhm.
versions together. So it makes our life easier one way, but at the same time, you have to also understand what what value they are adding and how do we leverage that for while using our. So sometimes rather than getting lost with the use of LLM, it's better to switch to SLM and then constrain yourself with a certain data set on that. One second.
Sorry, I think
Mhm.
it went on mute. Yeah, sorry.
No worries.
Can you repeat the
That's fine.
question? Would you mind?
No, I was just reiterating what you said that LLMs are getting like evolving every day. We see the news, they are coming up with the better versions with better functionalities, better features. But we have to look it into the other perspective that even though they are coming with the better features, can we leverage all of them in our tools development rather than using LLMs blindly? It's used. Sometimes it's better to concern ourselves with SLM and then use them in that constraint model so that we
Mhm.
can focus on the our objective rather than just blindly using LLMs everywhere.
So, sorry, somehow the audio issue, I guess I'm just trying to resolve it. Your voice is very low for me now.
Is it better?
Yes, now it's
Okay.
much better. Somehow,
Okay.
yeah. Uh, I think I'm not sure this might cause inconvenience to people who are listening to us right now, but yeah,
That's
now it
fine.
is resolved for me right now. Sorry.
I think considering it's our first episode, people will be little flexible to consider our this technical glitches. No worries. So let's
Yeah.
move on to the next phase of our series, which is scaling the AI systems, right?
Mhm.
Um, so when we develop these tools, we talk about the code and everything, but when it comes to the scaling, right? Some things might work in the small data set, and as you were earlier saying, everything works in POC. But when it comes to move it to production and scale it to the other areas, that's where that organizational tissue gets stretched and the impacts uh, the scalability of that solution. How do we resolve that? How do you make sure that organizational tissue is strong so that the tools are scalable?
Yeah, sure. So when you're saying scaling, right? So it has a broader reason to give it. Suppose consider myself, I am working in financial corporation. You know,
Mm-hmm,
so here complaints plays major role. Like I mentioned, even though the product is good and deliverable, but if it doesn't meet compliance requirements, then boom, that's not going anywhere. So
mm-hmm,
it's like the tension shows up everywhere at the time. You know, so that is the time, especially in this kind of regulated environments. So it helped us including the compliance as part of a design phase only, not like
mm-hmm.
an end point, like end checkpoint after the good is delivered.
Everything is done.
It's not like at the end checkpoint, it cannot be at the end
Mm-hmm,
checkpoint, so it is always has to be part of the design phase. Then we will be able to deliver it upfront, and we can do it on our own, and we will also realize clearly where it needs to be stopped and how it explains itself. Everything can be doable if we have included that in the initial phase. Once that is clear, right, engineering can actually move faster and in a reliable way.
okay. Yeah. What I hear from you is rather than keeping it as a end checkbox, make it a part of your design so that your
Yes.
engineering and compliance team are working together and they
Yes.
align on the speed
Mhm.
and delivery of that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Cool.
Because there
So,
is also a hidden cost I wanted to mention, because scaling means it's always about people do think about definitely money comes into picture anywhere. The how much
absolutely.
volume of cost that is being invested there, it's not
Mm-hmm,
only the resources. So
mm-hmm,
the cost that we cannot expect, when AI gives inconsistent answers. Suppose you're trying to question something to GPT today, okay? It might
mm-hmm,
not know your context, but it will give
mm-hmm.
some answer which might not be appropriate to your vision. So you keep giving the more context to you keep giving more context to the GPT to make until it gives accordingly
Right.
the answer. You'll keep
Mm,
giving the context, right?
mm.
So in the same way,
Correct.
like when AI gives inconsistent answers in our machines also, we will stop relying on that one tool. Suppose there are many other tools that came into it's not only GPT.
Mm-hmm.
Perplexity AI is there, Gemini AI is
Exactly.
there.
Mm-hmm.
So we keep exploring more options, when we
Mm-hmm.
start getting inconsistent answers. That is the same
Okay.
thing with the systems as well. So
Mm-hmm.
when you stop trusting it, then they work around it. At that point, we are not just losing that AI. So we made the system more complex than before.
Absolutely. Actually, my second question was about that. Like, when do you find that fine point whether we should keep pushing it for scaling further or we should stop and work on the existing solution to make it better? How do
No,
you
we have
find
to
that point?
stop actually. We have to make it much better, because that's where it makes we have to make it more transparent. more transparent, and the trust will fall into that picture, then the performance will be increased. So, as much as the trust and the transparency is increased, the performance will be increased.
But what I hear from you is it has to be a continuous effort checking on your development. Like it's not that you develop something and then push as it is for
Yes.
scalability. Keep checking on it, whether it is giving right answer in the new scenarios. Go
Because we
back,
need
change
to,
it.
yeah, definitely. Because if you, it might give wrong answers based on the context that you have fed it in the sequence. So you need to keep on checking and testing the system, whether that is working according to the customer use or not.
Correct. Okay, perfect. Nice. So one more thing on the scaling thing, and this is more from the process perspective rather than on the system perspective. Now, all of us know that AI is influencing the work, everybody's day-to-day work. So how does leadership is taking it, like how does it change their decision making now? They have a team of 20 people who are working on AI. It's saving time, probably it's
Mhm.
giving the better answer and everything. What shift is making into the leadership decision making, which is changing the world, corporate world these days?
So definitely. So leadership is thinking about what kind of decisions we are trying to consider, and whether the architectural design phase itself is very good to go with, and are we able to, how strong that we are trying to prove our solutions are capable of dealing with any sort of failures, and I mean, like free of fraudulent risk at any sort of data. So, risk factors we have to be considering in this finance world. So, how much fraudulent factors are being considered, and like how the agents can behave in terms of failures.
Mm-hmm.
Are they just keep on losing customer trust just because if customers are not able to get the proper answer, then they will try, but if they keep getting inconsistent answers, then they will stop doing it. So we leadership first think about like customer should not lose their trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even though they are trying, they know that they are using AI based systems, but they have to have that trust that their money is not going anywhere, and that we are dealing it with utmost care, and the agents are doing their job with all the possible scenarios that we have scaled well during our design phase itself. So leadership is considering all the possible scenarios that we can explore with the tools. So the decision making plays major role, and what is the roadmap. So first, how efficiently the roadmap has been planned.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are we able to deliver with meeting all the deadlines, and are we able to meet the compliance and regulatory requirements? If any of the factors are not meeting, then what should we be doing next, or should we be uh, following any sort of Fed standards? Usually, we follow any sort of Fed
Mm-hmm.
defines financial standards to submit any sort of reports. So, like we have FDIC, Basel, CCAR. So that differs from the retail banking to institutional banking. So it's always based on how the leadership is trying to consider all these factors with utmost care.
Got it. So I think for them also it's a bigger room to take care of and bigger things need to taken care of before the, even though they are pushing for AI tools or promoting AI tools, at the same time they also have to take uh, the judgment call how much we can push further on our existing team with the existing tools, because we don't want to lose the trust of our client base, and we also don't want to risk our system to like as you said, the laws or regulations of those fields needs to be complied with. So it is a challenge for leadership to properly. Okay, perfect. So now, building on the same topic further, when we think about this AI capabilities, it has become a part of our culture, like inbuilt culture nowadays. Everybody talks about AI. Everybody's talking about AI agents, everything. What do you think has become or will become invisible infrastructure in next few years? Like for us now, electricity has become integral part of our
Mm-hmm.
life, right? Transportation,
Mm-hmm.
electric cars has become a part of our integral. It was
Mm-hmm.
hype. So something like that. In AI, we have passed that phase of excitement, but now we are getting into the phase of being integral part of our life. So how do you see that invisible infrastructure will play in our day-to-day personal as well as professional life?
Um, when we are talking about infrastructure, that's where we already talked about a few pointers earlier as well. So I'm talking about AI
Mhm.
that is already embedded with into the system itself. So we are not just saying that some users interact with it directly. So
Mhm.
it also needs to handle like a context gathering, anomaly detection, and how the decisions are routing. You know, and what the reconciliation is being done, how the complaints checks are done. These everything happens in the background. This is
Mhm.
all we have to consider under that invisible AI task that it's being done. You know, so
Mhm.
infrastructure means what not once seen, like it's not anything physical appearance of something. If you see, like there are modern trends like RAG systems, you might have
Mhm.
heard about it, agent based
Yep.
workflows. You know,
Mhm.
so multimodal pipelines, you know, so they're actually the infrastructure AI that one could think about using this way, but they're not actually to impress the users. You know, they need to
Mhm.
just they are there, but they need to resolve how the systems, they try to do a better job in making the systems behave in a better way in the world. You know, so they are
Mhm.
not just for the purpose, they are just like to prove that they can behave much better in this world. Multimodal pipelines are being used in a larger quotient nowadays. You know, so if you see like they're in the realistic use, so people only start noticing it uh, when they start feeling that they are missing something with, you know.
Mhm.
Otherwise,
Mhm.
if everything goes smooth, why would anyone will notice, you know?
Yeah.
So the
Correct.
invisible AI is like where the leadership were thinking about these factors earlier, you know.
Mhm.
So all these background jobs are being done by AI, but nobody needs to visualize that, you know.
Yes. Yes. So it's already become a reality for common man.
They
Correct.
just need to see the behavior, but you know, this is all invisible AI. It does a lot of things, but yeah,
Correct.
which it is
So
not needed to be transparent to the outside world.
we are almost on top of our time. So just to conclude our session, I have one line.
Mhm.
What are the big opportunity, what you see from your leadership point of view, which people are still underestimating to
So
leverage?
yeah, you mean like how we can close on these things, like how we can make less use of that thing.
Or opportunities where people like the listener of our podcast who are young professionals or enthusiastic venturing into AI recently, what are the things? Because there are so many things like you were saying about agentic AI, rack system, all over things,
Mhm.
but something which has not been explored more but has a bigger room for learning. And I think that those are the opportunity because you have to find the right opportunity to excel into this world too, right? AI world.
Yeah, like I'm coming from the finance background, so I always talk about in my world, my terms. So
Mm-hmm.
nobody knows that, or nobody thinks about it, that how compliance and regulatory requirements plays a key role in delivering anything in the financial world. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so that even now, when we are trying to deliver something, any product, we put a lot of efforts, but if it is not any meeting any compliance requirements,
Complex.
then how we are going to justify the time that we have invested in delivering this product, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's why everyone, if somebody is in that mode, like if something plays major role in delivering their product irrespective of their domain, think about that factor first. Even though you deliver your product in your roadmap, then if that factor is not met in in your deliverable, then you are doing
Yeah.
just you're just killing your time and you're just wasting effort and money. So think about like how you can incorporate AI into that factor
Mm.
in order to achieve
Okay.
this, you know. So even here, like in order to achieve compliance through AI is not just a straightforward thing and not an easy, and we are also still in the exploratory phase, like how we can achieve that in that compliance stage, you know.
Absolutely.
So it's not fully explored, it's still being in the exploratory phase. Like even I'm attending various conferences and listening to various thought leaderships, so how
Mhm.
they are planning to achieve that, you know. The real world has many use cases, but yeah, there are some phases that people can think through. So I think people should start thinking about that kind of underestimated stages, you know. So in order to
Right, right.
think about it, these are unspoken or less spoken, I should say. These are spoken nowadays,
Right, right.
but they are less spoken or less considered, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
So I should say, like the organization underestimates AI, but they need to think about how systems can stay calmer too. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like how AI's role in making systems calm, and
Mm-hmm.
we get surprises. Even with the
True.
fewer surprises, like how we can make the like with the use of AI, how we can make less escalations,
True.
how we
Yeah.
can see less surprises
Mm.
in the production
True.
environment.
I,
So all these
I
things matter
matter.
because we don't want anything to be in a larger mode, you know, a
Absolutely.
bombarded mode at the end of the phase.
Mm-hmm.
The pressure that we deal with at the time is a lot. We are
Mm-hmm.
humans, obviously. So
Yeah.
we deal with a lot of pressure and we do not want to do any wrong decisioning at that phase
True.
with a
Yeah.
lot of that. So
Yeah.
it's more of we need to think about the stability, you know, with all this considered. So
Mm-hmm.
one should think about these kind of steps in the architectural decisioning and the roadmap when they define it.
Perfect. I think what I hear from you is compliance is less travel road. So there is bigger opportunity to explore on that part, whether it's a finance or any other cybersecurity related thing, because compliance plays a huge role now that everything being automated, we
It's
need to
not
make
now,
sure
it's
that
always.
Mhm.
But
It's
how
always.
AI is incorporated with compliance phase, you know,
Mhm.
it's always
Absolutely.
compliance plays always major role in finance world. But
Yeah.
we everybody has been talking about how they have achieved it all in all the development phases, testing phases, development phases, decisioning phases, but very
When it
less we
actually
have
goes
explored
production.
about integration
Mm.
of AI with compliance phase or regulatory requirements, how that automatically checks has been performed and
Checks.
how this has been resolved, you know. So yes, that
True.
needs to be done without human intervention. How that can be perfectly done with less surprises, like I have mentioned.
Yeah. I mean, even one surprise with big impact will cause like lose the trust of the client or your company on that tool, right? So it's not on the number of surprises, it's the impact it has when the surprise comes in. If it's big impact, then we have to be very aware of that. So perfect. Thank you so much for that detailed answer, Anusha. It has been pleasure talking to you. But I want to end the series with some fun thing. I have come up with the rapid fire round. So I have few questions for you. I hope you don't mind.
Mhm.
So let's dive into it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
What one AI myth you wish would disappear?
What would one AI?
Myth.
A myth. Yeah, AI replacing people.
Wonderful. One leadership lesson you will tell your younger self.
Yeah. Don't rush on decisions. Decisions plays major role. So think about in the broader angle rather than the narrow angle.
Right, perfect. One resource you recommend to our listeners.
One,
Resource you recommend to our listeners.
like for any
Any AI related book or any tool which is good to explore for our listeners, kind of to start the journey on this road.
Yeah, I would say like there are many bloggers in LinkedIn that they have started writing blogs on their understanding from what to what differs. Like in this AI world, there are many things came into picture, but not
Mm-hmm.
people know what each word is, like SLMs, LLMs, RAG pipelines, agentic AI.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are key terms that has came into picture, but when each where each one plays role, what each one plays role, and where it comes into picture, like how they are they independent or are they dependent, or which one can replace with which one. So everything has been clearly defined with architectural style of writing. So I think I would love to people to explore in LinkedIn. The bloggers are
Any
widely
specific blogger?
spread. I don't have anything in specific, but I explore the conference level speakers. Like
Okay.
if you check on the AA conference, or
Mm.
if you have explored AA Infra Summit that has been happening in the Santa Clara every year.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like there are conferences that happens, and where the speakers that comes with various thought leadership and from the executive level. So if you come across this kind of thought leadership, they are also writing articles. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the articles through Forbes Tech Council, the articles through various economic papers. So those are having key concepts. Like some are trying to explain in very detailed manner.
Mm-hmm.
So I would not always refer to one. I would always say like that
Explore more.
concepts can be explored, because I might understood from so and so page,
In certain way.
but
Mm.
that might not be the same way for others. So
True.
I like people to explore, because I might grab from this page, but somebody might grab from the other page.
Other-
So
Right.
the understanding varies, the attention varies. So that's why I would love people to explore, and majorly the young professionals, who have not stepped into it, and students. I think this is their
Mm.
phase that they can explore many research papers that are coming with very new ideas.
True.
The research, because even nowadays, even larger corporations like us, so we are
Mm.
also like every corporation is trying to put funds, they're
Yes,
funding the
absolutely.
research programs.
Yes.
So because they wanted to incorporate with the universities, like and fund the research programs, and trying to solve the corporate problems with by funding that.
Mm-hmm.
So that is
Yeah.
one way that they can also think through. So think about those labs. They are idea
Okay.
labs at various universities. They can go
True.
through, they can just check out like if they have an opportunity to contribute to it. And yeah, that is one way that they can get an opportunity
Get
and they can
opportunity.
explore too.
What I take it, your answer is don't limit yourself.
Huh,
Explore. World
for
is
sure.
your sky is the limit.
Yeah.
Okay. And my last rapid fire question is finish this sentence. The future of AI in business will be
The future of AI in business will be. Um, I don't have any peculiar word, but I would say like trust. So AI in
mm,
business should be the trust.
perfect. Thank you so much, Anusha. This has been pleasure. It was very candid conversation. I'm not sure if I stayed to the flow, but it was very nice to talk to you and learn from your experience. I look forward to many much such conversation in the future. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheetal, for giving this opportunity today. So I think, uh, yeah, other than the like a
Technical
technical
glitch. That's
issue,
fine.
technical glitch that came across in the middle, but yeah, other than I loved this interaction today. I hope
Same here.
somewhere or the other people have taken a pointer, at least the least that they could benefit from this. Yeah.
I'm sure they have. I'm sure they have. Thank you once again.
Thank
And
you.
thank you everyone who had joined our episode today. This has been interesting conversation with Anusha, and I'm going to have such similar conversation with other leaders in coming episodes. So please subscribe to my channel and join the future sessions too.